A very good morning to all the students. This video for the class 6 subject science chapter number 9, that is the living organism characteristics and habitats. This is the lecture number 1. So in today's video we are going to cover some topics. So the topics to be covered are, so the first topic that we are going to cover is activity 1, activity 2, activity 3 and activity 4. Next topic is the introduction part of this chapter about the organisms and habitat and their adaptation. Next is the habitat and adaptation. Next topic is terrestrial and the aquatic habitat. What do you understand by the terrestrial and aquatic habitat? Next is the desert, mountain and the grassland region in terrestrial habitat. So let us begin this lecture with the first activity of this chapter. So in first activity you have to write the name of the animals and the plants and objects that are found in the various regions. So you have to make this table and write the name of the animals and the plants and any other object you have seen in various regions. For example, in the forest you have seen the lion, deer, elephant, fox, tiger, leopard, monkey. So write in this column in the forest region. And on the mountain regions, the fern, yak, snow leopard, mountain goats, hare, sheep, gorilla. Next in the desert area, in the same way write it the animals and the plants in the sea and any other organism at the various regions. Okay, moving on the second activity. The aim of this activity is to study the effect of the abiotic factors on the growth of the plant. So the material required to perform this activities, you have to take the moong seeds, water, dish and cotton. So the method of this activity or the procedure, firstly divide the moong seed in the 5 equal parts and keep one part aside. Okay, and soak the rest of the seed in water for a day. Next is leave the one part soaked in water for 3 or to 4 days. Next, place one part in a moist cotton in a dish and keep it in a sunny day or in a sunny place. Next is keep one part in a cotton or in a dish and keep it in a dark place such as in a cupboard. Next is keep one part in a moist cotton in a dish and in a refrigerator. So keep the seed in a setup A, B, C, D, E, okay, and moist by sprinkling water every day. After that you have to observe them for the 5 days, continuously 5 days you have to observe them. So the question that is arising here, do seed in all 5 cases germinate equally or they germinate day after day? Okay, so write the observation of this activity. Next is the activity number 3. So the aim of this activity is compare the amount of water lost due to the transpiration in leafy plant and in a thorny plant. So in this activity we are going to take the leafy plant as a tulsi plant and the thorny plant we are taking here is the cactus plant. So the procedure is, first take a healthy leafy potted plant such as tulsi or a thorny plant as a cactus plant. Okay, then in this picture you can see that enclose the branch of both the plant with the transparent polythene bag. You can use the polythene bag with the help of a string. Tie them with the help of a string. Then keep both the pots in sunshine for a few hours. Okay, and observe the inner surface of the bag, and you have to answer that, or you have to observe that which bag has more water droplets. Okay, whenever you keep both the pots in sunshine for a few hours, after that you will observe the inner surface of the polythene bags have some water droplets. So you have to mention that here in observation that which bag has more water droplets, in a thorny plant or in a cactus plant or in a leafy plant, in a tulsi plant. Okay, next is moving on the 4th activity. To put our plant in a room away from the light and see what happens to its growth. So as you can see in this picture, firstly you have to place a potted plant in a room, okay, a little away from a window through which sunlight enters sometime and during the day. Then after that, continuing watering the plant for a few days. So the question that is arising again here, does the plant grow upright like plants out in the open? And note the direction in which it bends. Okay, if it's not growing upright, then you have to answer it. Do you think this may be in the response to some stimulus? Okay, so you have to write the observation when we are put this plant in a room away from the light, what happens to its growth. Okay, moving on, the next topic is the introduction part of the living organism. And what are organisms? Here the different regions in the world have the various type of the living creatures are called as organisms. Oh, next is about the environment. So everything we see surrounding us, or the living thing or it's a non-living thing, a physical and the chemical things, are called as environment. As you can see here in environment, in this picture there are the living things also and the non-living things also. Living things are those the plants, and non-living things are the water, air, soil, and some physical and the chemical activities is called as environment. Next is about the two components, biotic component and abiotic component. So these are the component of a habitat. Okay, habitat is made up of the two basic component. Biotic means the living component and abiotic means the non-living component. Here the biotic means these are the living component of the ecosystem, for example flora and fauna. And abiotic component, the non-living component of the ecosystem like soil, water, air, are called as abiotic component. In biotic component, it vary in their shape, size, form, and the method of obtaining the food. Okay, and on the basis of how they obtain food, biotic component can be classified as like a producer, autotroph, consumer, and heterotrophs. In another hand, abiotic component, the non-living component of the ecosystem like air, water, soil, temperature, and light, these are the abiotic component. Okay, and biotic and the abiotic component are interdependent to each other. So from this picture you can easily understand the biotic and abiotic component. Here the biotic are the living things which are plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, and protists. In abiotic component, the non-living things like water, soil, air, minerals, light, temperature. So these are the abiotic component. Okay. Next is about the organism and the surrounding where they lives. So the table shows here shows the some common organisms and their place to live, the organism and their habitat. So in the forest region, the organism that they live here are lion, deer, elephant, fox, tiger, leopard, and monkey. In another hand, on mountain areas, the organisms where they live are the fern, yak, snow leopard, mountain goats, sheep. In the same way, in the desert area, these are the organisms which they are living. In the sea or any other areas, the organisms, their place to live. Next is about the habitat and the adaptation. So first is the habitat. The region or the place where an organisms live is known as habitat. A variety of animals and the plants can be seen at almost every place on the earth. So the natural environment of a living thing is called as habitat. Habitat can be a pond, forest, moist soil, river, grassland, desert. So habitat should have these following features. First is the advocate food and water for the survival of the thing. Second is the shelter for the protection from the enemies. And third is the optimum or the most suitable temperature for the survival. Okay, next is the example of the habitat, the camel. Now we are going to study the habitat of a camel. So camel has a long legs which provide protection from the heat of the sand. Next it excretes the small quantity of urine. It excretes the small quantity of urine. Next is they do not sweat and their dung is very dry. They can live without water for many days as their bodies lose a little amount of water. So first of all, the camel have the long legs. They help them to keep their body away from the heat of the sand. Second thing is they have the thick eyebrows, shield the eyes from the sun, while the long lashes keep the sand out. Okay, and they store the fat in their hump, so it provide energy when food is unavailable. Next is the camel conserve water by not sweating and by excreting the small amount of urine, so they can drink large quantity of water when water is available. Okay, so due to these features, camel can survive without water for many days. So these are the features of camel. Next is about the fish, the habitat of fish. This streamlined shape helps to move easily in water. Presence of slippery scales. Gills helps in utilizing the dissolved oxygen. They have the gills for the respiration. Flat fins and tail help in changing the direction in their water. So this is a picture of different type of the fishes. They have the streamlined shape, help to move easily in water. They have the slippery scale on their body. They have the gills that help in the utilizing the dissolved oxygen that is present in water. Okay, next is about these. Both the organisms discussed above have the specific features, okay, or we can say the characteristics that enable them to survive in their habitat. So these features are termed as adaptation. Okay, so adaptation are the structure or the functional adjustment shown by any organism in order to survive or live in its environment. That is adaptation. Adaptation occur over thousands of years, and the organisms which do not adapt to the change in the surrounding, they die out, leaving the stronger ones to survive. Okay, so these changes takes place over the long period of time. And one more thing, an adaptation is a permanent change. Okay, for example, adaptation shown by the camel to adjust in the desert condition. Okay, so the change are both physical and internal. This is an adaptation. Next is about the terrestrial habitat and the aquatic habitat. So here in the terrestrial habitat, the animals which live in terrestrial habitat are called as terrestrial animals, or the plant and animals that thrive on land said to live in the terrestrial habitat. For example, forest, desert, mountain regions, these are the regions example of the terrestrial habitat. So yeah, terrestrial habitat divided in forest, grassland, desert and mountain region. So first we are going to study about the next is aquatic habitat. The plant and the animals that thrive in water said to live in aquatic habitat are known as aquatic habitat. For example, rivers, lakes, these are the aquatic habitat. Next is about the terrestrial habitat in deserts. So the following adaptation of various organisms are enlisted below. First is the snake and rats dig the burrows to escape the intense heat, as they don't have the long legs such as the camel. So these animals come out only during the night when it is cooler. Next adaptation in desert, plants leaves are reduced to spines and lose the little amount of water through the transpiration. In desert area, the leaves of the plants modified into some into the thorns and spines, so it loses little water through the transpiration. Next, the stem of the desert plants have a waxy coating on them, and most of the them photosynthesis is carried out by the stem. First, the stem of the desert plant have the waxing coating on them, and in most of the them the photosynthesis is carried out by the stem. Their roots go deep into the soil to absorb the water. The leaves in the desert plants are absent to prevent the loss of water due to the transpiration. So that's why they have the spines instead of the leaves. Next is in mountain region, some adaptation in the mountain region. The trees are cone shaped with the slope like branches. Also, needle like leaves are present so that rain and the snow slides off them easily. They have the trees are the cone shaped and slope like branches and needle like leaves because they can snow slide off them easily. That's why they have the needle like leaves. Animals have the thick fur which provide the protection from the cold. For example, snow leopard, mountain goats and polar bear. This is the picture of mountain region. Next is the presence of the strong hooves helps the mountain goats to run on the rocky slopes, and in these regions they covered with the snow, only mosses and lichens survives. Okay, because the flowering plant grow during the short summer season when the snow melts. Next is examples are the pine tree, mountain goats, yaks, sheep, etc. And the yaks have the long hair to keep them warm. And the yak can graze on the variety of plants. It can break the frozen ice in the ground with its hooves because they have the strong hooves and horns to get buried the grasses. Next example is about the penguin. The penguin have the layer of oily waterproof feathers and a thick layer of fat under the skin to keep themselves warm. So it also provide energy when there is shortage of food. Okay. Next is in the grasslands. So these are the adaptation in the grassland. First one is the light brown color of the lion helps it to hide in dry grassland, and the presence of long claws help to capture the prey. So first of all, the grassland are the large area that covered with the tall grasses. Because of the open area and the widely spaced tree, grasslands are a home to large herds of the grazing mammal, or we can say such as the bisons. Okay, next is deer has a strong teeth to eat the plant stems. Also, its long ear had to listen to predator movement. So here the predator means the lions are found in the forest and in the grassland. Okay, so they are predators. Predators are those animals that hunt and kill other animals for food, is known as predator. Okay, and preys are these the prey are those animals which is hunted for food is called prey. So here the lion is a predator and the deer is a prey. Okay, so in grassland the plants have the flexible stems to bear the effect of the strong winds. Okay, and they have the narrow and the small leaves to reduce the water loss. Next adaptations is in deer. They have the eyes on its sides of the head, which helps them to look in all the direction to look out for danger. So deer are the brown in color, so hence they cannot be easily spotted. Okay, and next is they have the strong teeth for chewing hard stem of the plant in the forest. The sum of the animals living in these habitats are elephant, giraffe, lion and deer. So these are the animals And deer can run fast to escape from their predator, from the lion. Next is about the homework of this today's lecture. So the first question is, you have to write the observation of all these four activity and write it down in your fair notebook. Question number second is, which of the following cannot be called as habitat? First option is a desert with camels, a pond with fishes, a jungle with wild animals, cultivated land with grazing cattle. Question number third is, what are the biotic and abiotic components? Or definition of biotic and the abiotic components. So this is it about this lecture. Hope you have understood this lecture. Thank you and have a nice day.